All progress is found outside of your comfort zone. And so if you're never uncomfortable as an educator, then you're probably not growing.
Welcome to the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of innovation, leadership, and transformative ideas shaping the future of education and technology. Each episode is a journey into the minds of visionary educators, thinkers, and leaders who are not just talking about change, they're living it. Real people leading real change. This is where passion meets practice and ideas come to life. Welcome to the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to Teach, Lead, Innovate, the show where we delve into transformative ideas in education. And today we are thrilled to have Dave Burgess with us. Dave is a New York Times best-selling author of Teach Like a Pirate and president of Dave Burgess Consulting, which delivers powerful inspiration and innovative books, keynotes, and professional development. Renowned for his high-energy, interactive presentations, Dave specializes in teaching hard-to-reach, hard-to-motivate students by incorporating showmanship and creativity into his lessons. And his innovative approach has sparked a revolution in the educational world, inspiring teachers globally to achieve new levels of excellence in their classrooms. And get ready today to embark on an educational venture as we explore how to transform teaching and learning with the one and only Dave Burgess. Dave, welcome to Teach, Lead, Innovate.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm honored to be here. And first, I have to send you a special shout out for your wardrobe choice today.
Yes.
You got the t-shirt, I got the hoodie. We're matched up here. This is perfect.
Listen, I figured if I'm going to be discussing Teach Like a Pirate with you, I've got to come correct. You know what I mean?
Yes, I love it.
So, Dave, obviously the questions are going to be pirate themed, right? I feel like how could you not? So first question I have for you is, pirates are notorious for their daring and adventurous spirits. If you had to describe the ultimate pirate-inspired classroom, what would it look like, sound like, feel like?
Yeah, so I think that one of the keys to this is bringing in a variety of modalities, right? And so we want to have, so I'm always trying to add as much kind of contextual clues. I call it marinade and seasoning, side dishes, beverages, and desserts. And one of the analogies I use in the book is like a steak. You don't serve raw steak to people that come to your house for dinner. You marinate it, you season it, you preheat the grill, you have side dishes, beverages, desserts. You put all these things to it, and that's how I look at a classroom experience. We want to have like what do they hear when they enter? What do they see? What props are we using? How is the seating arranged? Every single thing matters, and having that kind of intentional mindset about thinking about what does every single thing in my classroom mean in a very intentional way as far as how does it move this lesson experience forward is critical to a pirate classroom.
I couldn't agree more with you, Dave. And, kind of on that same similar note, like you encourage educators all the time, and it's in your book, to take risks, right? And here's my question. What's a risk that you took in your teaching that paid off in a way that maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah, so one of the things I would say is taking the risk to take my class outside. And so it's very often we feel comfortable within the confines of our four walls, and everything is controlled there. We're in control. And so one of the things I started to explore was asking myself the question, where would be the perfect place to deliver this lesson? Where would be the perfect place on campus to deliver this lesson? How could I get my students outside my four walls for this lesson? And that was a hook that I used in the book. I called it in the book called the Safari Hook. And what I would tell teachers is just the idea of getting your kids outside the four walls of a classroom during class time is wildly engaging for a kid. And so like one of the things that I would do things like I would go out before school and set things up for us to discover as we went around the campus. So I'd have a path that we're going to travel around. I would bury things. I would hide things in bushes. I would put things out by the baseball field on the far end of the campus. And so then we would be walking around through history, right? And I'd be like, okay, wait, I pull a shovel out of my bag, like dig. And all of a sudden we'd find like I'd have like a skeleton buried out there. And we talk about that, about how, oh yeah, look, this is like graveyard of this. And so just the willingness to go outside of the classroom and to try to create these broader experiences for students was something that was a risk that just became, that was something that was wildly engaging for kids. They would love these outside classes where they would know that we were just going to go, the whole class would just be an exploration. We would just go travel around the campus and explore things.
I love that it was like like really adventure based. My question that kind of correspond with that was, what is, did you have supportive administration when you were doing this? Like, what was the role of that, the leadership in that and supporting you?
Okay, I'm going to give you two answers to this.
Give it to me.
One is the reality of the early years of this. The reality of the early years of this was that I was very, very much into begging forgiveness rather than asking permission, and a lot of these things I would just do them. Uh, as I got along a little more, I realized that really, if you fill administrators in on what it is that you're trying to accomplish, why you're trying to accomplish it, and how it's tied powerfully to the curriculum, that administrators are almost always going to be supportive and behind you, and it's going to be even better when they're on your side. And I kind of learned, like, hey, actually, it is pretty important at an administrative level to know where the kids are, and like if a parent contacts and needs to get a hold of somebody, they need to know where my class is, and or if there's some sort of whatever it might be, medical emergency or something like that. And so I got a little better at filling in administrators, filling in people, leaving notes on the classroom door, for example, when we leave, about where we could be contact or how we could be contacted, all that kind of stuff like that. And so I think I started out more pirate-like and became more practical as the years went on. But that brings me to an important point, though, that I wanted to address. Lots of people are very nervous about what administrative reaction will be to Teach Like a Pirate strategies and these outside the box and creative strategies. And I always tell them that this is kind of a misnomer. I've seen unbelievable administrative support for Teach Like a Pirate teachers and strategies. And if you think about all the things that an administrator has on their plate on any particular day, the idea that you, as an innovative, creative, passionate teacher who has fewer behavior management issues reaching the front office because kids actually like being in your class and has kids excited about school, the idea that you're going to show up as a problem on their radar as opposed to a blessing does not ring true to me and has not rung true to me. And so I always think that people kind of play up more in their mind that there's going to be an administrator backlash when that is rarely the case. Administrators are usually super excited about innovative teaching strategies in their school system.
100%. And it speaks to my own experience in 2019 when I first started as a principal at a school here in New Jersey. I loved the Teach Like a Pirate book. So I purchased the book for every single teacher in my school, and we read it, and I would tell them, go teach like a pirate. Like, I wanted them to know that, and I think this is an important message, and I think it's built into your book. Like, it's okay to take risks. It's only when you take those risks that you really can make such a meaningful and amazing change and like learning experience for kids. And again, I can't imagine a great, a great administrator, good principal that wouldn't be so behind that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing about that.
And thank you for sharing the book. I really appreciate that. And I tell teachers all the time, all because they'll say, "Well, I'm kind of uncomfortable about this. Like, I'm an introvert, or I'm not feeling like this is a little outside the box for me." And I say, "Hey, listen, we talk to kids about having a growth mindset all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They come up and say, like, I'm
Good
not good at
point.
math. We're like, hey, whoa, you're not good at math yet, right? And we push them and we build and we work with them and get them progressively closer to the kind of skills that we want them to be able to demonstrate. And there's the same thing's true in education. Like, all progress is found outside of your comfort zone. And so if you're never uncomfortable as an educator, then you're probably not growing. And I mean, we know this in like a
Uh-huh.
fitness realm too. It's like if you never push yourself to any level of discomfort, then you're probably not growing in your fitness as well, right? It's all growth in all areas is usually found by moving outside of that comfort zone.
And that's it. We always encourage the students to grow to that with that growth mindset. We've got to really take that on as educators too. Thanks for bringing that up. So, Dave, a great pirate has a strong crew, right? What advice do you have for teachers looking to build collaboration and camaraderie among their colleagues?
Yeah, so kind of a couple different angles on this too. And one is it is not unusual for me to hear people talk about that they have a lack of people in their school system who might be interested in these ideas, maybe even pushback, if not direct hostility towards some of these things. And I would tell them, first of all, you do not have to be limited by connections in your building. You don't have to be limited by connections in your system. And that is why it is so important to become a connected educator. Becoming a connected educator is one of the things that changed my life and transformed my career. And I think it can transform the career for lots of people. And so if you cannot find your people in your building, that doesn't mean you can't find your people. You just have to go, you have to cast a wider net because there are all kinds of people who are interested in teaching in innovative and creative ways. And now with social media and modern technology, like there's no need to be limited by your geographical region anymore. You can absolutely tie into and connect with powerful educators doing powerful things and find that family, find that community, that crew, right? And then the other thing I would tell you is, and this is something I talk to administrators about a lot too, is like if you want to find people in your school, so if you want to have a cultural change in your school system, right? I look at it, I talk to admin all the time about building a snowball. And the way that I talk about this is like if you wanted to build a giant snowball and you went out into the snow and you tried to grab it all up at one time, what would happen? Crumble away and you wind up with nothing. That's not the way you build a giant snowball.
No.
The way you build a snowball is you pack a little bit, you get a little bit in your hands and you pack it tight and you shape it and you mold it. And you work with and mold that touch, and then you add a little bit more to it and a little bit more, and you start to get bigger and bigger. Eventually, it gets big enough where you can set it on the ground and you can roll it, and the snow will start to stick. That's really the only way you build a giant snowball. That's the only way that you change the culture of a school, too. You can't announce change from the podium, right? Change is something that's built at a grassroots level. So you have to find the people that do want to be a part of something creative, do want to be a part of something innovative, and put your energy there. And then the energy and enthusiasm that radiates out from that group starts to attract other people in, and you welcome them into the fold. And eventually it gets big enough where you can set it down in your system and roll it out across the entire system. But it always starts with that small group. And that's why when people will contact me, sometimes they'll say something along the lines of like, hey, you're probably not interested in this, but we have like 4 or 5 teachers reading your book, and they meet in the faculty lounge, like at lunch. And like, would you be interested? You probably, I mean, it's just 4 or 5. Would you like be interested in zooming into that? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, absolutely. That's the way it starts in every school. Every school system practically where teach like a part is taken off across the whole like culture of the system. Start with some small little group of teachers reading the book, and then sharing it and talking about it, and then maybe implemented some lessons, and then kids get fired up, and then other teachers are like, hey, what do you got going on over there? Like kids are excited about your class, and they share it, and the next thing you know, it's like across the system. And so you got to find those people. Too many people allow their energy to be dissipated by the negativity and apathy in their system.
Wow.
They allow that's where their attention goes. And rather than allow that energy to be dissipated there, focus that energy on the people that do want to go with you. And then the other people start to get pulled into, like that energy starts to pull people in.
And I gotta say, Dave, that story you shared about, just 4 or 5 teachers and would you be interested in Zoom? I gotta say, like, I reached out to you in 2019 and I was the same way, like, I don't know if he would be interested. And like I said, this speaks to you as a human being. Like, you're a great guy. And not even just a great author, you're a great guy that you extend yourself to be able to do that because you really do want to make an impact and you are making an impact. So I just wanted to share that. Kudos to you, Dave.
Oh, thank you very much. I love to meet with people that are interested in moving these ideas forward and spreading this message and trying these things in classrooms with kids. And so I'm always going to hop in there.
So, Dave, teaching is, especially today in today's world, is often described as a ship navigating some stormy seas, right? To use the pirate analogy. What was one of your stormiest teaching days, and how did you weather it, or maybe periods?
Yeah, so I've had. There's this strange thing about becoming kind of well known for a book and for as a speaker. And there comes this point where people just think that maybe almost like you're a mythological creature. like if I'm at a conference and I turn the corner somewhere and like run into somebody, and then they see me and like I'm in my pirate thing or whatever. Like it's almost like they saw like the Loch Ness monster or something like this, right? They're like, oh my, like, oh, they have this reaction of kind of like, oh, you're a real person, like you're actually flesh and blood, and that's the same thing with like lessons too. Like uh, I tell people all the time, I had lessons blow up in my face for the entire 17 years that I was teaching in the classroom. The last year that I was teaching, after Teach Like a Pirate to come out, traveling, speaking, all that, I had kids that were disengaged. I had lessons blow up in my face. I had things fall flat. That's part of this process. You can't do this stuff without failing. You can't do this stuff without falling off those edges. You never know where those
Yeah.
edges are until you fall off of them. And in this line of work, it's not a big deal when you do, because they come back the next day and you make it right, right? And you learn to see that failure is feedback. You don't personalize it. You don't beat yourself up. You don't beat kids up. It's all everything that happens in the classroom is feedback. They're providing you the real-time gift of feedback to help you improve and hone your craft. And so you use that feedback to make shifts in course and adjustments. And I tell people, hey, pirates don't yell at the wind. Pirates don't curse the wind. Pirates read the wind. They shift their sails, they go, right? And so the wind of the classroom is that student response and feedback that we get from them. You don't ask wind to change. You read wind and you shift your sails, change what you're doing in order to catch that wind to get to where you need to go. And so I've had lessons. I can't even explain to you how many lessons I've had fall flat and how many problems I've had and how many different things have gone wrong in my classroom and blown up. And again, it's just all part of the learning experience. Like every once in a while, I'll meet a guy and they'll say something like, well, I haven't had any failures recently in my classroom. And to me, there's two possibilities there. The first is that maybe they're delusional, right?
Quite possible.
Yeah. And the second is maybe they're playing it too safe.
Yeah.
And safe lessons are a recipe for mediocrity. You never know where those edges are until you fall off, right? And so the safe lessons are always a recipe for mediocrity. And so if you're really out there pushing, you're really out there innovating, you have to expect and not be upset when it gets messy and when things blow up. And that from the administrator lens, what I would tell administrators is it's very popular to say that you want creative, innovative teaching, risk-taking amongst your staff. It's very popular to say that, almost cliche. Like, I want innovative teachers.
Yep.
I want risk takers out here, right? Well, we really don't know if that's true until we see how you respond when somebody fails, right? And
That's a
so
good
when
point.
someone tries something, takes a risk, and they fail, do you come in an evaluative and judgmental fashion? Or do you come in a supportive way and in a way that celebrates the courage it took to try something? It didn't work out. It was a failure. But they had courage in trying something new and in going and stepping out on the edge. They fell off that edge. And now if you come in a judgmental and evaluative way, they're not going to go out on that edge again. And
Yep.
so how an administrator responds when people fail is a very strong determinant as to whether or not the school culture will increase in a more innovative way or whether it will become more tight, closed, and safe.
And I think in there is two very important messages that you just shared. Is number one, for teachers, like they have to have the room to fail. They have to be okay with failure. That can sometimes be scary, but if you're going to truly be impactful, you have to be okay with that. It's okay. But that's I mean, you hit it on the head when it came to leadership, the nail on the head, is that leaders have to be okay with that failure. Because you're right, they have to be okay and be supportive of their staff in that. That's the recipe together of a great school. That goes back to the first question I asked you about, like a great classroom. That helps. That helps. That's formula of a great school, right? That brings it up even to another level.
Even take it down to the student level too, right? And so
Yeah.
the administrator wants to be supportive of the teachers that are taking risks and feeling like this. The teachers want to feel safe and taking a risk, and teachers want to create classroom environments where kids feel safe to fail and to have that psychologically safe environment for them to be able to explore the boundaries and edges and to make mistakes and to fail. And the whole idea that learning, creativity at all those levels, system level, class level, student level, it's all going to be a little messy, and that's the way it's meant to be.
Psychologically safe environment. That is key. What you just said right there, it really is. So Dave, you've traveled the world inspiring educators, talking to them, giving, just connecting. What's the wildest or most unexpected thing that's happened during one of those PD sessions?
Okay, I can think of a couple of the the one I'll tell you about is um, I don't know if you know John Carippo. John Carippo of Edu Protocols
Hmm.
fame. He has a book, a series of books that he's put together and co-authored and led some other people to write books on the Edu Protocol series. And I was speaking at a conference in his school system, and it's up by Yosemite. And this may be bad time. This may be bad timing to tell this story, but uh, while I was speaking and doing a breakout session, a fire was coming over the hill towards the school, and there's like saying like we're watching it, we have all this kind of stuff, and then pretty soon the alarms went off and they evacuated. And so in the middle of my session, everybody grabbed all their stuff, packed up, went out to the parking lot, and we were evacuated off the scene
Wow.
of the professional development. So this isn't a very funny joke now, but at the time we were joking about the fact that like I was on fire that day. Like I lit that place up. But I think I'll pass on
That's what,
going further into that joke at this particular moment because
yeah,
there's some very horrific things happening. But
for
yeah,
sure, for sure.
that would be one. Getting evacuated for a fire in the middle of my speaking session.
Wow. So, kind of along with that idea, every teacher and administrator faces moments when they seem ready to jump ship, and maybe they've had a really, really hard day. That's not uncommon for a lot of educators these days. What should a pirate teacher do on those days that are really hard?
Yeah. So a few things. One, I would say is that we have to um, be willing to explore outside passions and interests. And I know I would not make it through what I do if I wasn't able to unplug and decompress and to really dive into some of my outside passions and interests. I know that you're into like cycling, all that
Yep,
stuff. Like what would your mental state be without that outlet, right?
you're right. That is the out.
And same thing for me for whether it's running, going to the gym, chess, magic. Like I have these outside interests, and from not only just not just a self-care standpoint, but also it's a helpful thing. And so like an unusual thing about Teach Like a Pirate that some people don't recognize when they read the book is there's something unusual about this book. There's not a single reference to another education book inside of the book. Not because I don't like education books. I published over 200 now. It's because that's not where it came from. It was from the outside drawn in. It was my background as a coach, influenced how I break down instruction, how I develop a motivational component to my class, things like that. My background as a marketer and entrepreneur, like how a marketer and entrepreneur uses messaging to be persuasive and get people to take action. I'm doing that within the classroom, building those things in with my students. My background as an MC, like if you were to see me speak live in person, it's like, is this a professional development or is this like a show? Like what's going on here? Like I speak at like 1,000 miles per minute and like stringing these words together in a very flourishy way, right? And it's like, well, that's my background as MC. My background as a magician influenced my sense of staging and showmanship, incorporation of props and different things like that into my presentations, both as a speaker, but also as a classroom teacher. All these things have come together to create the best me. So what is unique about me is what makes me the most powerful. What's unique about you makes you the most powerful. And so being willing to lean into those interests, those passions gives us creative ammunition from other areas of our life to drag back into my school system, right? And so I call it creative alchemy, is that when you read wide and when you live wide, that gives you that perspective to be able to pull in diverse ideas into what you do. And it allows you to dive into and go down rabbit holes outside of your professional life, that's going to help fill you up and to kind of help you decompress from the stresses of your profession. And so if someone is struggling at school, and I want to know how much are they able and willing to unplug? Do they have anything that they can get into and dive into? And a lot of these things that I love too are the ones that are immersive. Like it's almost like I don't know if this is true for you as a cyclist, but it's almost like a moving meditation.
Yes. That's
Like
a
that's
great way
for
to
me
put it.
running. I'm not on my phone. Can't be on my phone. I'm out in nature and I'm running and I'm immersed in what I'm doing. Chess. I can't play chess and be thinking about my problems, or I'm going to be destroyed, right? I have to be immersed and
Very
focused
cool.
into what I'm doing. And so having something in your life outside of your profession that is in some way immersive for you, I think is a really strong form of self-care.
100%. When I'm on the bike, I can't look at the phone. I can't be texting, but it's almost like you're in this state of you can, and for years I rode the bike to school as the principal, and I could get ready for the school day in my head. And then on the way home, I could debrief everything and kind of be there present for the family when I got home. So, yeah, I mean, those outside passions matter
Yeah,
tremendously.
absolutely.
So Dave, I have one more question for you. Okay. Can you tell us more about Dave Burgess Consulting?
Yeah. So, I mean, we are full service publisher and consulting business. We book speakers, professional development, all those kind of stuff. So it's not just me and the Teach Like a Pirate message, but what I've really tried to do is understand. Like sometimes people will ask me, this is a typical question, like, are you going to write book 2, like Teach Like a Pirate 2? And I say, I'm not. Like I told my story. If I write another book, it's not going to be Teach Like a Pirate Part 2 kind of a thing, right? Like I told my story, but I did not write the Bible teaching. I did not try to write the Bible teaching or the encyclopedia of teaching. I wrote some stuff that I found to be highly successful in my classroom with my kids that I wanted to share with the world. But I knew that wasn't the whole story. That's not the encyclopedia. And so a real big step for me was connecting with other educators and churning my focus from my message into amplifying the message of others. And so that's what I've tried to do, is take the messages from so many other innovative and creative educators and help them to amplify their messages and to spread their work. And so that's why one of the things I'm most proud of is our line of books, not Teach Like a Pirate, but our line of over 200 books from educators all over the world that are out there being used in systems. And so we're still constantly on the lookout for people. And like this past year, got to publish all sorts of amazing books, including 2 educational icons. One, Joyce Abbott, who is the namesake of Abbott Elementary. And got to publish her book. And then Ron Clark, co-founder of the Ron Clark Academy, got to publish his latest book, Be 1% Better.
That's awesome.
And I think we did 16 books this past year.
Wow.
And so that's where my focus is right now, is not as much on Teach Like a Pirate, although I'm still out doing that and still speaking. I really am proud and love to help these other educators spread their messages.
Dave, keep doing that, because the inspiration that we all as educators gather from those books is truly amazing. I personally have many of them, and again, it's about getting out of that comfort zone, getting out, getting exposed to different ideas and just experiences. So keep doing that. All right.
Absolutely. I'm fired up about it still.
Dave, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. You have been an inspiration to me ever since I picked up that book, and then just seeing everything that you continue to do year after year. So truly, thank you so much for taking the time to be on today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be on the show. And yeah, can't wait to, hopefully I'll be able to connect with your audience face to face somewhere along the way. And if I do, come up and say hello. I'm a real person. And I'm not scared. I'm not scary at all.
Not at all. All right, everybody. Until next time, stay inspired, stay positive, and have the best day ever.